In this video, we're talking about how the new Steam Deck update is confusing. After that, we're going to talk about why you should probably change your Steam Deck password immediately. And finally, a lot of you guys have been asking how I got Need for Speed Most Wanted Black Edition up and running on the Steam Deck. So I figured I'd throw a tutorial in at the end that gives you everything step by step. How's it going, everyone? As always, my name is Jimmy Champagne. This is Deck Ready, my channel all about the Steam Deck. My limited edition is back in my hands. I saw a comment that was like, if it shipped from Illinois, it might actually just be a regular black OLED. And when I opened up the box, I couldn't see the orange lining around the inside case. And I was like, oh no, they sent me just a regular OLED. But then I opened the case, I saw the orange lining, and then I saw my limited edition one. Everything is fine. Everything is great. I still think Valve just needs to dump United Radio. They're terrible, honestly. Like, there's no reason why it should have sat there for a month before they decided to look at it, especially if they were never going to repair it in the first place. Obviously, nothing's going to change because why would Valve listen to me? I'm just a guy with a YouTube channel. But there's plenty of horror stories out there, so hopefully they're aware. Let's get into the first news story here though, because it's kind of interesting. There's a new Steam Deck update out now. These are going to keep coming really quickly as we get closer to the Legion Go S release date. I don't really care. I mean, they're adding new features, which is cool, but the main feature that this new update added in is confusing to me because I was like, up until now, I thought we didn't need it. So what the feature is being able to cap the amount of battery percentage you get from a charge, so you can cap it at 80%. I guess this is to protect the longevity of the battery, and at 80%, you're essentially getting basically the full battery life, but without degrading the amount it can charge over time. I don't have a degree in lithium ion batteries. I'm sure someone will leave a comment that explains this in complete perfect detail. They're making it so you can cap it off at 80%. And the reason this is confusing is because, but the reason this is confusing to me is because I don't know if it's like Mandela effect. I mean, it's not because I looked it up, but like I had a memory going back to when the Steam Deck came out and we were getting all the technical specs on Valve's website. I remember it having pass-through charging and I forgot exactly what that is. So I looked it up, and essentially pass-through charging is if your Steam Deck is plugged in, it's charging the battery but using the power cord to actually power the Steam Deck. So it's not just continually charging your battery once it hits 100%, it moves it over to AC power once the battery is charged, which is the best and healthiest way to charge your battery. So if it has pass-through charging and that stops battery degradation, why do we need a cap at 80%? Is it not working? Did they remove it in an update? Who knows? The only reason I can think of is that maybe the Legion Go S and the ROG Ally and Ally X might not have pass-through charging. So if they're putting SteamOS on these other devices, then they could add in this battery capping feature to stop those devices from charging past 80%. And also if you have a gaming laptop or something, that would come in super handy because that's like the first thing that goes on a gaming laptop, especially if they don't have pass-through. I don't know. I saw people confused about this in the Reddit, like in the Steam Deck Reddit. They were like, I leave this thing plugged in all the time. Am I killing my battery? I looked into it as much as I could. Obviously, I can't just talk to someone at Valve because they'll never answer an email from a little YouTube channel like mine. But yeah, it seems like the pass-through charging wasn't removed, so that should still be operational on the Steam Deck. So if you're like me and you just leave it plugged in when you're playing in bed or you're playing on the couch because it's not that big of a deal and you have an L-shaped USB-C adapter, I don't think the battery is going to be a problem. Unfortunately, I replaced my limited edition OLED with a new one, so the battery's brand new. But like, I don't remember noticing the battery getting worse at all, and I use this thing like every day for hours at a time on battery and plugged in. So anecdotally, there's not really an issue with battery health. But when I saw this go up on the Reddit and I saw people confused, I felt bad. So I wanted to look into it as much as I could. And it seems like pass-through still works on the Steam Deck. It's just added in for other devices, probably. I mean, they haven't said, but that's what I'm guessing because all the latest updates lately have been for other devices, which is kind of a bummer. But moving on here, you should definitely change your Steam password as soon as you get the chance. I was scrolling through Twitter, procrastinating going to the gym because it's leg day today. And I just like, I don't know, man, like deadlifts, they suck. Squats, they suck. I hate it so much, but I do it every week. And I saw this news story go up from The Verge and other websites that was like, hey, change your Steam password now because allegedly there was a data breach that gave away two-factor authentication code access for around 89 million accounts. But I looked into it and it seems like the person was fibbing who says that they were able to scrape all of these usernames and passwords and two-factor authentication codes because they said they got it it through Trilio, but Valve said separately that they don't use Trilio for authentication, so it's probably a fib, but like if it's not, you're not going to want your Steam info out there because then someone could hack your account, buy a bunch of games, gift your entire library to someone else, change your password forever and sell it on G2A as a full account based on what games you have. Like the point is, you just don't want the potential of what can happen to come true. So now that this leak is out there allegedly, even if it's not real, it's never a bad time to change your password on Steam. I've personally had my stuff hacked so many times. I think I talked about this in the last video, so sorry if I'm repeating it, but like the day before my wedding, I checked my bank account because I went to pull $100 out in case I needed to tip someone at the hotel we got married at, and it was like empty, and I was like, that's bad. I had a few $1,000s in my checking account the last time I checked, so I looked and I was overdrawn by like $300. So I looked into it. It turns out someone was able to get my debit card. They bought a bunch of stuff on the PlayStation Store, which like, come on, man, like V-Bucks for real? That's just stupid. So I got it disputed. I got my money back. Then the bank sent it to collections because I guess I didn't sufficiently prove that I didn't buy all the V-Bucks despite never playing Fortnite pretty much ever. So the collections agency was like, look, we have no evidence that it wasn't you. So if you get us a police report that says it wasn't you, we'll like get rid of this entire thing. So I go down to the police station. Thank God one of my friends from high school's dads is like a higher up guy at the police station. And I was like, is this a thing? And he was like, I don't know. I've never done it before, but I'll write something up for you. He wrote me up a police report. I sent it to the collections agency. My honeymoon was saved. So yeah, long story short, you should definitely change your Steam password pretty regularly. And now is a good time because 89 million Steam users may have been breached. A lot of people are coming down on Valve for this. Like, I don't know, man. There's so many hackers out there these days that have figured this stuff out. They just live to make other people's lives a living hell. Now they're pushing political agendas with it. And it's like, just leave me alone. Like, I don't want to be involved in any of this. It really blows. And you're hurting the people you're allegedly out there to protect. Like I see Anonymous and all these different organizations and groups. They're always hacking to prove some political point, but the people they go after are just normal people, right? Like they steal from a company, but what they're stealing is a bunch of usernames and passwords, and then you get your bank account drained, and then you have no money, and then your whole week is ruined because Fifth Third Bank fucking blows, and I've had my stuff stolen from them multiple times, and I eventually just left and I went to Chase, which has been much better. But like, it's just a headache that no one really wants to have to deal with, and it's a high stress time in the world. So I'm not going to say the words I said when I saw that my money was drained the day before I got married, but like that whole moment is seared into my brain when it should have been an extremely positive weekend, and it ended up being one. But like, it's just annoying that this stuff keeps happening. So I don't think it's Valve's fault. Like, you know, there's always going to be hackers who can find their way around stuff, and thankfully it looks like it's not real, but you never know. So change your password. And that brings me to the third news story here, which is a full tutorial on how to get any of the Blackbox era Need for Speed games up and running perfectly on the Steam Deck with full controller support, baby. The first thing you're going to want to do is find the game you want to play. So I'm not going to show you exactly where the thread is because I don't know if I can. I don't want to get this video demonetized, but if you just Google Need for Speed Abandonware thread Reddit, the first link is the correct one, and everything is listed out exactly as it should be. Unfortunately, they all use one Fincher links because Google Drive wasn't working for this guy. So you're going to be capped to one a day. So make sure the first one you get is the one you want. Also, it's formatted weird. So like the big text is below the small text. So like the link is above the actual title. So if you want Most Wanted, for example, get the link above Most Wanted in the list, and that's the right one. I did this wrong with Underground 2 the first time. I accidentally downloaded Underground 1, and then I had to wait 1800 seconds for one Fincher to clear, which sucks. So make sure you get the right link. Once the game is downloaded, open the zip folder and extract the main root folder to your downloads folder, and then go into that folder, right click speed.exe, add to Steam, and then launch it with Proton Experimental. The game should launch, but you're not going to have controller support, and there is a way around this. Go to Google, search for NFS extended input download, and there will be a GitHub page. There's no tutorial with it, but it's really easy. If you download this and unzip it, there's 3 files in there. There's 2 folders that are named the exact same as folders in the Need for Speed root root folder, and then there's a DLL. Drag the DLL to the game's root folder, and then drag the other two folders into the root folder. And if it asks you with those, if you want to write into the folders that are already there, click yes. And then boot it one more time in desktop mode, change the resolution, increase the level of detail, and you are officially good to go. I've been having a ton of fun with Need for Speed Most Wanted 2005. I know Need for Speed is on a hiatus. I just want them to remake this game. I'm not like super hater on remakes, but I'm also not super lover of remakes. Ghost Game's era of Need for Speed was pretty decent. I liked Heat more than Unbound. I thought Unbound's map was cool, but I didn't like the cell shading, and the soundtrack is just pure ass. I'm sorry if you like that soundtrack, but like both Forza Horizon 5 and Need for Speed Unbound just totally screwed up like one of the best lineages of soundtracks in racing games ever. And I don't understand why that happened. I know with Forza, the audio director left, so like Forza Horizon 2 had like perfectly accurate engine sounds and a great soundtrack. And then after that, it's just never been as good since Forza Horizon 3, which I think had the best soundtrack, but like Heat's soundtrack was way better than Unbound's. And I hope for the next one, they just go back, remake Need for Speed Most Wanted 2005 specifically from the ground up, and bring back that soundtrack. Kind of like the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 remakes. Like, can you imagine how awesome that would be? And the best part is there are tons of these abandonware games out there that got PC ports. So if you're ever going to download a PS2 game that isn't like first party Sony, just double check if there's a PC port, because these will look and run better on the Steam Deck than emulating the PS2 version. Another example is Tony Hawk's Underground 1. That got a PC port, and there's a mod called Clown Jobbed that adds in controller support and full resolution scaling. So like, just give it a look, because there's probably a good PC port out there that has higher resolution textures and is easy to set up on the Steam Deck just by adding it to Steam as a non-Steam game. Anyway, guys, that's all I've got for you in this one. As always, my name is Jimmy Champagne. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and shape on.